Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. WWE Crown Jewel is the sports entertainment juggernaut's next massive premium live event, and it will take place this weekend. Just when it seemed as if each match on the card was already announced, one more has been revealed. And what should be a massive draw for the company, Roman Reigns, JUSO, and Jimmy USO, known to many as the OG Bloodline, will take on Solo Sikoa's version of the stable. This will be a six-man tag team match. However, it isn't yet clear who will be representing the current iteration of the Bloodline. Any three stars out of Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tanga Loa, and Jacob Fatu could be selected to take on Reigns, Jay, and Jimmy. With that being said, since this is a Bloodline match, there is a strong chance that outside forces beyond the 7 stars named could be involved. This article will look at 5 performers, both within the company and outside of it, who could interfere in the big-time 6-man tag team match at Crown Jewel. Below are 5 interferences that can happen during the Roman Reigns and the Usos vs. Solo Sikoa's Bloodline match at WWE Crown Jewel 2024. 5. Hikuleo could make a major impact. Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa are former WWE Tag Team Champions. The two joined the sports entertainment juggernaut earlier this year and immediately aligned with Solo Sikoa's Bloodline. Despite not technically being blood relatives, the two are considered members of the family. Come WWE Crown Jewel, another star could fill a similar role, Hikuleo. He is the younger half-brother of Tama Tonga. The monster of a man has supposedly been with the Stamford-based promotion for many months now and is awaiting his debut. Crown Jewel could be the perfect time and place for this to go down, especially if it means costing Roman Reigns a big win. 4. Lance Anoa'i could be quietly signed by WWE. Lance Anoa'i is an indie veteran. He first broke into the pro wrestling industry in 2010. The 32-year-old has remained active ever since, competing in companies such as Major League Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Notably, Lance was part of the revived Samoan SWAT team. The son of Samu teamed up with Juicy Finau and, most notably, Jacob Fatu. This could lead to Lance's official WWE debut at Crown Jewel. Anoa'i could appear and aid the Samoan werewolf, either win the bout or help him run interference in the contest. No matter what role the Samoan Destroyer plays, his former Samoan SWAT team stablemate could have been quietly signed by WWE and might aid Fatu at Crown Jewel. 3. Paul Heyman could get revenge on the Bloodline. Paul Heyman is one of the only non-family members, be it via blood, marriage, or oath, to be involved in the Bloodline storyline. The legendary manager has served as Roman Reigns' Wiseman for many years, but has decades of history with the family even prior to WWE. Unfortunately, Heyman has been away from WWE television for months now. He was shockingly put through a table by Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tanga Loa during Roman's absence in June 2024. The Hall of Famer could make his return to TV by interfering at Crown Jewel. Fans would love to see the Wiseman of the OG Bloodline back, especially if he somehow cost Solo Sikoa the win. A distraction of any kind could be huge for Roman and company. 2. Zilla Fatu could debut as a secret weapon of Paul Heyman. Zilla Fatu is another unsigned member of the real-life Bloodline. The talented, but quite green performer is the son of the late great Umaga. This makes him a cousin of the Usos and other members of the family. While Zilla is not signed to WWE, he has made waves in companies such as GCW and Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. Come WWE Crown Jewel, he could officially join the sports entertainment juggernaut by interfering in the main event. What could be a fun twist is he might not do so alone. Instead, Paul Heyman could appear and reveal Zilla as his surprise secret weapon to take down Solo Sikoa's Bloodline. Zilla and Jacob Fatu battling it out could even the odds for Roman Reigns and the Usos. 1. Sami Zayn could pick a side. The latest edition of WWE Monday Night Raw saw a few interesting segments featuring Sami Zayn. The erstwhile honorary Yus was one of the few non-family members to be involved with the Bloodline saga, so many were wondering what kind of input he'd have on this iteration of the angle. He ran into the Usos backstage and requested Jay for a private conversation. Upon doing so, the former WWE Intercontinental Champion questioned the YEET Master reuniting with Jimmy and, more specifically, mentioned the 39-year-old's past issues with Roman Reigns. He warned Jay not to get involved in the Bloodline saga. However, Jay told Sammy it was family business. Fast forward to later in the show, and Sammy was spotted talking to Solo Sikoa. At Crown Jewel, the Canadian star may have to make a choice. Will he unite with Solo Sikoa, the opposition of his greatest rival in Roman Reigns, or will he unite with Jay, his longtime friend, even if it means being on the same side as biggest foe? It is interesting, that's for sure. Rikishi makes a huge prediction regarding Jacob Fatu's future, expects a major change. WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi recently made a huge prediction about Jacob Fatu's future. He believes that the Samoan werewolf will turn babyface for a potential feud against Bron Breakker. During Breakker's rematch against Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw, the former came face-to-face with Fatu after the Bloodline's interference. The interferences led to Bron defeating the Yeet Master for the Intercontinental Championship and regaining the title. While speaking on his Rikishi Fatu Off the Top podcast, the Samoan Stinker predicted Jacob to turn babyface and believes that the WWE Universe will play a major role in that. Well, there you go. Could it be that Jacob go babyface? Even if you were to put him against, I'm just going to say Bron Breakker. If they put Jacob against Bron Breakker, I can almost tell you Jacob's, probably people are going to turn Jacob babyface, Rikishi said. h/twrestlingnews.co. WWE might have planted the seeds for a potential feud between Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu. WWE Hall of Famer Bully Ray believes that the Stamford-based company has planted the seeds for a feud between Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu after their recent confrontation on Monday Night Raw. While speaking on the Busted Open radio podcast, the 53-year-old veteran discussed the face-off between the two superstars. The moment of that main event, on Raw, was when Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu got face-to-face right in front of the announcer table on the floor. That stare down, that walking close together, getting right there, before Jey Uso threw himself through the ropes and dove, sick, onto the both of them, but that moment, that was the planting of a seed moment, Bully Ray said. The Samoan werewolf was recently in action at the Bad Blood 2024 Premium Live event, where he teamed up with Solo Sikoa to take on Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns in a tag team match. This marked Fatu's first loss in the company after Reigns pinned Sikoa. At Crown Jewel 2024, Jacob could be in action in the announced six-man tag team match between the original Bloodline and the new Bloodline. As the sun began to set over the Pacific Ocean, casting a warm golden hue across the beach in San Francisco, Rikishi stood at the water's edge, contemplating the tides of change that were rippling through the world of professional wrestling. With his storied career behind him, he had witnessed countless transformations within the industry. But today, he felt particularly compelled to share his thoughts on a rising star, Jacob Fatu. Jacob, the younger cousin of the legendary Samoan wrestling family, had made waves since his debut in Major League Wrestling, MLW. His unmatched agility, coupled with a raw intensity that resembled the likes of his uncle, the late Yokozuna, had garnered him a growing fan base. Rikishi had been following Jacob's journey closely, and it was during a recent charity event that he decided to voice his predictions. Gathered with fellow wrestlers and fans at a beachfront event aimed at raising funds for local youth programs, Rikishi found himself cornered by a group of eager reporters. With the ambience buzzing with laughter and the sound of waves crashing, they urged him to share his insights on the current wrestling landscape, particularly focusing on Jacob Fatu. "Let me tell you something," Rikishi began, his voice steady yet animated. "Jacob Fatu is a force to be reckoned with. The way he moves in that ring, it's something special. He has the heart of a champion and the lineage to back it up." His eyes gleamed with pride as he spoke of the young wrestler. One reporter pressed further, asking about the potential direction for Jacob's career. Rikishi leaned forward, lowering his voice as if he were sharing a well-guarded secret. I predict a major change is coming for Jacob. He's on the brink of something big, and I believe he'll find himself in the spotlight of a major promotion soon, maybe even WWE. The reporters exchanged glances, some raising eyebrows at the thought. Rikishi continued, Jacob is hungry, and he's got the talent. But what really sets him apart is his dedication. He understands the legacy he's a part of, and he's ready to carry it forward. As the evening wore on, Rikishi's prediction sparked lively discussions among the fans and fellow wrestlers alike. They shared stories of how Jacob had inspired them and reflected on his matches, analyzing his moves and charisma. It was clear that Rikishi's faith in Jacob was more than just a passing comment. It resonated with those who had been in the ring and understood the complexities of the business. Weeks passed, and as the wrestling world continued to buzz with anticipation, Jacob Fatu's matches in MLW became increasingly electrifying. Each performance showcased his evolution, and the whispers of a potential move to WWE began to circulate. Social media exploded with speculation, and Rikishi's prediction was front and center in the discussions. Then came the announcement that would send shockwaves through the wrestling community. Jacob would be featured in an upcoming MLW pay-per-view, with the winner earning a chance to face a top WWE star at WrestleMania. The stakes were higher than ever, and the buzz around Jacob intensified. Rikishi knew this was the moment Jacob had been waiting for. On the night of the pay-per-view, the atmosphere in the arena was electric. Fans were on their feet, chanting Jacob's name, creating an environment that any wrestler would dream of. Rikishi watched from the sidelines, feeling a mixture of pride and anticipation. He knew that the young star was about to step into a pivotal chapter of his career. The match itself was a breathtaking display of athleticism and storytelling. Jacob faced off against a seasoned veteran, each move executed with precision and purpose. The crowd was spellbound, fully immersed in the drama unfolding in the ring. As Jacob executed a stunning Samoan drop followed by a moonsault, the audience erupted, solidifying his connection with the fans. In the end, Jacob emerged victorious, a triumphant smile lighting up his face as he raised his arms in celebration. The roar of the crowd echoed through the arena, a symphony of approval that signaled he was ready for the next step. Rikishi felt a swell of pride, knowing his prediction had begun to materialize. In the weeks that followed, the buzz surrounding Jacob continued to build. His performance at the pay-per-view had caught the attention of WWE executives, and Rikishi's earlier comments gained traction. News outlets began to cover Jacob's rise, frequently mentioning the potential for him to join the ranks of WWE superstars. Then came the fateful day. Jacob received a phone call that would change his life forever. As he listened to the voice on the other end, the reality began to sink in. He was officially being offered a contract with WWE. Overwhelmed with emotion, he immediately thought of his family, the legacy he was inheriting, and the journey that lay ahead. He knew he would have to step up and carry the mantle. Rikishi was one of the first people Jacob reached out to. "I can't believe it!" Jacob exclaimed, barely able to contain his excitement. "Thank you for believing in me." Rikishi chuckled warmly, "This is just the beginning, my boy. Remember, the spotlight can be bright, but it can also be blinding. Stay grounded, stay humble, and always respect the business." Jacob nodded, fully aware of the challenges that awaited him. He understood that stepping into WWE would mean competing on an entirely different level, facing the best of the best. But with Rikishi's wisdom ringing in his ears, he felt prepared to embrace the journey. As Jacob began his training at the WWE Performance Center, Rikishi frequently checked in, offering guidance and support. He emphasized the importance of storytelling in wrestling, reminding Jacob that it wasn't just about the moves, it was about connecting with the audience and making them feel every moment. "Be authentic, be you," he advised. Months later, the moment arrived for Jacob to make his WWE debut. The lights dimmed, and the crowd erupted as his entrance theme played. Jacob walked out, a mix of confidence and excitement radiating from him. He looked out at the sea of fans who had followed his journey, feeling the weight of his family's legacy on his shoulders. In the ring, he faced a formidable opponent, showcasing the skills he had honed and the charisma that made him a standout. The match was a thrilling affair, filled with high spots and dramatic near-falls. As Jacob hit his finishing move and secured the pin, the crowd erupted once more, chanting his name. Rikishi watched backstage, a proud smile on his face. He knew Jacob's journey was only beginning, but his prediction had come true. Jacob Fatu was now a WWE superstar, poised to leave his mark on the industry. As the night drew to a close, Rikishi reflected on the power of predictions and belief. He had seen the potential in Jacob and had shared his vision with the world. It was a reminder that sometimes, all it takes is one voice to spark a change, one voice to ignite the flame of a rising star. The future of Jacob Fatu was bright, and with the legacy of the Samoan dynasty behind him, the wrestling world was eagerly watching what came next. WWE Crown Jewel, the bloodline clash as the arena buzzes with anticipation, the lights dim, and the thunderous chants of the bloodline echo throughout the stadium. The stage is set for a monumental showdown at WWE Crown Jewel, featuring Roman Reigns and the Usos facing off against Solo Sikoa and his new faction, Solo's Bloodline. Tension fills the air as both sides prepare for a battle that promises to redefine loyalty and rivalry. Amidst the chaos, 5 potential interferences could dramatically alter the course of this epic encounter. 1. The return of Jimmy Uso. As the match begins, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso stand united against Solo Sikoa and the newly formed Bloodline. However, just when it seems Sikoa is gaining the upper hand, the crowd erupts as Jimmy Uso makes a shocking return. After weeks of speculation surrounding his absence due to injury, he charges down the ramp with determination in his eyes. Jimmy's entrance comes at a critical moment when Jey appears to be on the verge of defeat, caught in Sikoa's devastating submission hold. The arena shakes with excitement as Jimmy slides into the ring, delivering a superkick to Sikoa, freeing Jey from his grasp. This unexpected turn ignites the match, bringing back the explosive chemistry between the Usos. But is Jimmy's return a sign of unity, or is there still tension lingering between the brothers? 2. Paul Heyman's manipulation. While the action unfolds in the ring, Paul Heyman lurks ringside, his mind racing with strategies. Known for his cunning tactics, he decides to create further chaos. As the match heats up, Heyman discreetly hands Solo a chair while the referee is distracted. With the referee preoccupied with Roman and Jey's brawl outside the ring, Solo is tempted to take the shortcut to victory. However, just as Solo raises the chair to strike Jey, Roman dives back into the ring, catching Solo off guard. A tense standoff ensues between Roman and Solo, with the crowd holding its breath. Heyman's plan backfires when Roman manages to wrestle the chair from Solo, and instead of striking him, Roman turns and swings it at Solo, causing the crowd to erupt in cheers. This interference not only showcases Roman's loyalty to his family but also hints at the deep-seated rivalry brewing within the bloodline. 3. The arrival of an old rival. As the match continues, the action spills outside the ring, with all 4 competitors battling fiercely on the arena floor. Suddenly, the lights flicker, and a familiar theme music plays, sending shockwaves through the audience. It's none other than Drew McIntyre, Roman's longtime rival, making his way to the ring with a look of determination. Drew's arrival signals trouble for Solo and his faction. As he approaches, McIntyre charges at Solo, delivering a Claymore kick that sends Sikoa crashing into the barricade. The crowd explodes in excitement as Drew's presence shifts the momentum back in favor of Roman and the Usos. This unexpected interference showcases the long-standing rivalry and adds another layer of complexity to the match, hinting at future feuds for all involved. 4. A shocking betrayal. With the tide turning in favor of Roman and the Usos, another twist unfolds. During a pivotal moment in the match, when Jey is about to hit his signature move on Solo, Kofi Kingston, a member of the New Day and a former ally of the Usos, makes his way to the ring. Initially, the crowd cheers, believing Kofi is there to help. However, in a shocking turn, Kofi attacks Jey from behind, delivering an unexpected trouble in paradise. The betrayal sends shockwaves through the audience. Kofi had been a longtime friend of the Usos, but now he seems to be siding with Solo's bloodline. This act of betrayal not only complicates the match, but also ignites a fierce rivalry between Kofi and Jay, leading to a potential new storyline that could develop in the coming weeks. As chaos reigns, the once unbreakable bond of the bloodline is now tested by unexpected alliances. 5. The unforeseen alliance. As the match nears its climax, the atmosphere is electric with anticipation. Roman and Jay, alongside Jimmy, are working together to gain the upper hand against Solo, who appears to be struggling. Just when it seems like the Usos are on the verge of victory, another unexpected interference takes place. Rhea Ripley, the formidable powerhouse and current champion, makes her way to the ring. Known for her alliances with Solo Sikoa, Rhea's presence signals a shift in the balance of power. With a fierce determination, she intervenes, attacking Roman and sending him crashing into the steel steps. This act not only intensifies the chaos in the ring, but also opens the door for Rhea and Solo to form an unholy alliance, potentially reshaping the landscape of the women's division as well. Conclusion. The clash between Roman Reigns and the Usos against Solo Sikoa's bloodline at WWE Crown Jewel promises to be a roller coaster of emotions, filled with dramatic interferences that will keep fans on the edge of their seats. Each unexpected turn of events, from Jimmy Uso's return and Paul Heyman's manipulation to Drew McIntyre's rivalry, Kofi Kingston's betrayal, and Rhea Ripley's alliance, adds layers of intrigue to the match. As the dust settles, fans will be left pondering the implications of these interferences on the future of the bloodline and the potential rivalries that may emerge. WWE Crown Jewel will undoubtedly be a turning point, not just for the competitors involved, but for the very essence of what it means to be part of the bloodline. The drama, the passion, and the family ties will be tested like never before, ensuring that this confrontation will be remembered for years to come. Solo Sikoa may have secretly recruited non-bloodline member after the Usos' reunion on Raw during the recent episode of WWE Raw. The Usos officially reunited as Jey Uso decided to join the OG bloodline in their family warfare. The show opened with Jimmy Uso inviting the YEET Master to meet Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Jey firmly accepted this invitation. Later, in a backstage segment, Sami Zayn was seen talking to Jey Uso. The former honorary Us tried to reconcile with Jey, suggesting he wasn't obligated to choose between two evil sides. However, Jey dismissed this by stating that Sami's lack of family ties was why he would say such a thing. This might have hurt the former Intercontinental Champion. Below are the reasons why Sikoa may have secretly recruited non-bloodline member Sami Zayn after the Usos' reunion. Sami Zayn was engaged in a conversation with Solo Sikoa. After this, Jimmy Uso showed Jey that Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa were engaged in a secret conversation. This sparked fan speculation that the former Bloodline member could join Bloodline 2.0 following the Usos' reunion on Raw. The YEET Master didn't take Sami's advice positively. Thus, Zayn's later conversation with Solo raises further questions. It's possible Solo might try to manipulate Sami by pointing out that, despite his strong bond with Jey, the YEET Master chose to return to the place where he was previously humiliated. The self-proclaimed tribal chief could imply that, to stay safe, Sami should consider joining Solo's faction, or he might risk trouble for attempting to reconcile with Jey. Jimmy Uso caught this secret conversation on camera, but only Solo and Sami know what was actually discussed. This makes the possibility of Sikoa recruiting the ex-Bloodline member a realistic storyline to explore. Joining Solo Sikoa could be a fresh direction for Sami following Raw. The secret conversation between Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa on Raw gives WWE a fresh opportunity for a compelling storyline involving the 40-year-old star. Sami's return to the OG bloodline to oppose Sikoa's faction would evoke nostalgic feelings among fans, while his joining Solo's faction would bring an unexpected twist. This new dynamic would likely attract more viewers and significantly strengthen the villainous faction. Sami is already well-versed in the OG bloodline's tactics, so his alliance with Solo Sikoa could greatly benefit the new bloodline leader. What might happen on Raw next week? Following this segment with Solo and Sami, it's possible we'll see something similar on next week's Raw. The upcoming episode will air just after Crown Jewel 2024, where a six-man tag team match between the OG Bloodline and Solo Sikoa's faction has been officially announced. The fallout from this match could unfold on Raw as well. If Solo's faction loses, he might confront Sami Zayn and officially invite him to join his faction on live television. Additionally, fans might see Jey Uso confront Sami, demanding an explanation about his secret conversation with Solo Sikoa. Both of these angles would be excellent ways to advance the family saga following the Saudi Arabia Premium Live event. The air in the WWE locker room was thick with tension following the recent reunion of the Usos on Raw. Fans were buzzing with excitement over the historic moment, but amidst the applause and celebration, Solo Sikoa sat in the corner, his mind racing. He had watched his brothers embrace, their bond stronger than ever, and it made him feel a strange sense of isolation. In the shadow of the bloodline, he knew he needed to carve out his own path, and he had a plan. As the night wore on, the other superstars trickled out of the arena, eager to celebrate or head home. But Solo remained behind, lingering in the darkness of the hallway. He pulled out his phone and stared at a message thread that had been simmering with potential. His eyes glinted with determination as he typed a single word, "tonight." Solo knew he needed someone outside the bloodline, someone who could add a fresh dynamic to his ambitions. He had been watching a fellow competitor closely, a rising star who had recently begun making waves in the women's division, Kira Jacobs. Kira had shown resilience and a willingness to stand up against the odds, making her a perfect candidate for the alliance he envisioned. They had crossed paths a few times during backstage workouts, exchanging brief but meaningful conversations. Now, he felt the time was right to bring her into the fold. The following hour felt like an eternity as he waited. He could hear the echoes of laughter and celebration from the Usos and others in the arena. He steeled himself, reminding himself of his goal. Soon enough, Kira arrived, a curious expression on her face. "Solo? What's up?" she asked, her tone friendly yet cautious. "Thanks for coming," he replied, gesturing for her to sit down beside him. "I wanted to talk to you about something important." Kira leaned in, intrigued. "I'm listening." Solo took a deep breath. "I've been watching you. You're talented, and you fight hard. I want you to join me." Kira raised an eyebrow. "Join you? What do you mean?" "I mean, I want to form an alliance," he explained, the excitement bubbling beneath his calm exterior. "You're not part of the bloodline, and that's what makes you valuable. We can create something different, something that stands on its own." Kira considered his words, her expression shifting from curiosity to cautious interest. "I'm all for making waves, but why me? What's in it for you?" Solo leaned closer, his voice low. "The bloodline is powerful, but they have their loyalties and their history. I'm looking to establish my own legacy. With your skills and my strength, we could be unstoppable. And you won't have to deal with the politics that come with being a part of their family." Kira bit her lip, contemplating the offer. She had always felt that women in the WWE were often underestimated and overshadowed by male superstars. The idea of teaming up with Solo, a force in the ring, excited her. "What's your plan?" she finally asked. He grinned, the gears of his mind turning. "We take on whoever challenges us. We'll disrupt the status quo. We'll show the world that we're a force to be reckoned with. And I have a match coming up against a big name on SmackDown. It would be the perfect way to debut this alliance." Kira nodded slowly, her excitement growing. "I'm in. Let's do it." As they shook hands, an unspoken bond formed between them, two warriors ready to take on the world. The decision made, they spent the next hour plotting their strategy. They discussed potential rivals, alliances, and how they could position themselves as a genuine threat to both the bloodline and other competitors. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of action. Kira and Solo began appearing together, creating chaos wherever they went. They interrupted matches, ambushed opponents, and showcased their incredible chemistry. Their tactics kept everyone guessing, and the audience quickly took notice. Kira's fiery persona complemented Solo's intensity, creating a dynamic duo that captured the fans' attention. However, the Bloodline was not blind to the sudden rise of this new alliance. Roman Reigns watched with a keen eye, assessing every move they made. He knew that Solo was ambitious. He had sensed it since Solo had first joined the family. And now, with Kira by his side, Roman felt a flicker of concern. He approached Juso one evening backstage. "Have you noticed what Solo is doing?" Roman asked, leaning against a wall with an air of authority. Jay nodded, crossing his arms. "Yeah, he's been making waves with that Kira. It's different, and I'm not sure how I feel about it." Roman narrowed his eyes. "We can't let him think he can outgrow the Bloodline. He's family. If he's looking to carve out his own legacy, we need to remind him where he belongs." Jay hesitated, sensing the weight of Roman's words. "So what's the plan?" "We'll confront him," Roman replied, determination filling his voice. "We'll let him know that family is everything. If he wants to play with fire, he needs to remember he's standing next to a blaze." As the weeks passed, tension simmered. Solo and Kira were now on the verge of a big match against a seasoned tag team, the champions of the division. It was a pivotal moment that could solidify their alliance and challenge the Bloodline's reign. But they knew they had to be strategic, especially with the looming threat of Roman and the Usos watching closely. On the night of the match, the arena buzzed with anticipation. Solo and Kira stood backstage, adrenaline pumping through their veins. They could hear the cheers of the crowd, the energy electrifying. Kira looked at Solo, her heart racing. "This is it. We've got this." Solo nodded, his demeanor calm and collected. "We're ready. Just stick to the plan." As they made their entrance, the crowd erupted. They were met with a mix of cheers and boos, reflecting the uncertainty of the fans about this new alliance. Solo stepped into the ring first, exuding confidence, followed closely by Kira, who raised her fists in the air, soaking in the atmosphere. The match began with a furious pace. Solo showcased his strength, overpowering their opponents, while Kira displayed her agility and technical prowess. They worked seamlessly together, countering every move their rivals threw at them. With each near fall and comeback, the audience became more invested in their journey. But in the middle of the match, the unexpected happened. The lights dimmed, and the unmistakable sound of the Bloodline's entrance theme echoed through the arena. Roman Reigns and the Usos appeared at ringside, their presence undeniable. The tension in the air thickened as Solo's focus wavered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Kira, noticing Solo's distraction, shouted, "Stay focused." Solo nodded, shaking off the distraction as he delivered a massive Samoan drop to one of the champions, sending the crowd into a frenzy. The match reached its climax as Solo signaled for his finishing move, ready to claim victory. But just as he was about to execute, Roman stepped onto the apron, a smug smile on his face. "Solo!" Roman called out. "Don't forget where you came from." The moment of hesitation was all it took. Kira, sensing the shift in the match, leaped into action. She launched herself at Roman, knocking him off the apron and into the crowd. The distraction had cost Solo his focus, but Kira's resilience reignited his fire. He turned back to the ring, where the champions were regrouping. Solo executed his finishing move flawlessly, pinning their opponent for the 3 count. The arena erupted as they emerged victorious. But as the adrenaline subsided, the reality of Roman's warning lingered in the air. Backstage, Solo and Kira celebrated their win, but Solo felt the weight of his decisions. He was carving out his own legacy, but at what cost? The Bloodline was more than just a faction, it was family. And as Kira celebrated, a sense of unease washed over him. Would he be able to balance this newfound independence with the loyalty to his blood? As they left the arena, Kira looked at him, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We did it! This is just the beginning." Solo forced a smile, but inside, a storm brewed. He had chosen this path, and there was no turning back. But with the bloodline looming over him, he knew he had to navigate these waters carefully. The real challenge was yet to come, balancing his ambitions while honoring the family ties that bound him. Solo Sikoa had embarked on a journey that could change everything, and as he stepped into the unknown, he vowed to rise above the shadows and establish his legacy, one way or another. Roman Reigns to acknowledge ex-NXT champion, the latter set to join the OG bloodline. Says ex-WWE host Roman Reigns has reunited with Jimmy USO and would seemingly do the same with Jey USO ahead of WWE Crown Jewel. Meanwhile, former WWE host Matt Camp recently suggested the original tribal chief would acknowledge another superstar before the said star's potential reunion with the OG bloodline. Last night on Raw, Sami Zayn spoke with Jey USO about the YEET Masters reunion with his twin brother, Jimmy, and his willingness to talk with Roman Reigns this Friday on SmackDown. The former NXT champion urged the 39-year-old to not get involved in the ongoing bloodline civil war. However, the former Intercontinental Champion told Zayn that the Canadian star did not understand his position because the 40-year-old was not family. Meanwhile, as Jimmy attempted to speak to the former honorary use, he and Jey spotted the underdog from the underground having a conversation with Solo Sikoa. On the Busted Open After Dark podcast, former Raw Talk host Matt Camp claimed Zayn's conversation with Sikoa could urge Reigns to try and recruit the 40-year-old former Bloodline member. He predicted that the original tribal chief would eventually acknowledge Zayn and give love to the former honorary use. Now, it might be a situation where Roman needs Sami Zayn. And much like he's going to have to do with Jey USO this Friday on SmackDown, he's going to have to acknowledge and give love to Sami, he said. 635 to 650, WWE legend thinks Solo Sikoa will eventually reunite with the OG bloodline. In a previous episode of the Busted Open podcast, WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry said that Solo Sikoa would eventually realize that he was a pawn for The Rock and would get betrayed by the bloodline. The world's strongest man predicted that Sikoa would then reunite with the OG bloodline after Roman Reigns apologizes to his former enforcer. When that day comes, then you'll have the original bloodline back together again. But before that happens, Roman's gotta do the same thing with Solo that he's done with Jimmy and Jey, he said. Roman Reigns will team up with the Usos to battle the bloodline at Crown Jewel. It will be interesting to see if Sami Zayn gets involved in the anticipated square-off. In the heart of the WWE universe, a storm was brewing, and it centered around the iconic tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Known for his dominance in the ring and unparalleled charisma, Reigns had been at the helm of the bloodline storyline, a narrative that had captivated fans worldwide. But as the winds of change blew, whispers echoed through the locker room and the arenas. An ex-NXT champion was poised to join the ranks of the OG bloodline. The tension was palpable as Roman Reigns stood backstage, reflecting on his journey and the legacy he was building. He had become a force in WWE, wielding the Universal Championship with authority and solidifying his place among the greats. Yet, the prospect of adding new blood to his faction intrigued him. After all, the bloodline was not just about family, it was about strength, unity, and a shared vision of dominance. On a recent episode of WWE's flagship show, SmackDown, former WWE host and wrestling commentator, Josh Matthews, dropped a bombshell. "We are on the cusp of witnessing history," he proclaimed, as an ex-NXT champion is set to join the OG bloodline. His words sent shockwaves through the audience and ignited a frenzy of speculation. Who could this new member be? What did it mean for the future of the bloodline and Roman Reigns? The ex-NXT champion in question was none other than Cameron Grimes, a rising star whose journey from the black and gold brand to the main roster had been nothing short of spectacular. Known for his incredible in-ring abilities and charisma, Grimes had captured the attention of fans and critics alike. His recent departure from NXT had opened the door for new opportunities, and joining the bloodline seemed like a natural progression for the ambitious superstar. As the weeks went by, fans were left on the edge of their seats. Rumors swirled, and social media was abuzz with speculation about Grimes' potential role in the bloodline. Would he be a loyal ally to Roman, or would his arrival spark conflict? Would he embrace the legacy of the bloodline, or would he try to carve out his own path within the faction? The anticipation reached a boiling point on a special episode of SmackDown, where Roman was set to address the WWE Universe. The arena buzzed with excitement as the lights dimmed and the familiar beat of Reigns' entrance music reverberated through the crowd. As he stepped into the ring, the atmosphere shifted, the air was thick with anticipation. "Acknowledge me," Reigns commanded, his voice echoing off the arena walls. The crowd erupted in response, their cheers resonating with the power of his presence. Roman reveled in the moment, a king surveying his domain. With a firm grip on the microphone, he began to speak about family, loyalty, and the legacy of the bloodline. "We have built something special, something that transcends the ring. But to remain the strongest faction in WWE, we must evolve. We must bring in those who share our vision." The tension in the arena was electric. Roman paused, letting his words sink in. "Tonight, I want to welcome a new member to the bloodline, a brother, a warrior, an ex-NXT champion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cameron Grimes." The crowd erupted once again, a mix of cheers and excitement as Grimes' music hit. He emerged from the curtain with a swagger that had fans buzzing. Sporting his signature hat and a confident grin, he strutted to the ring, soaking in the energy of the audience. As he entered the squared circle, he locked eyes with Roman, the respect between the two palpable. Reigns extended his hand, and Grimes shook it firmly, the gesture symbolizing unity and a shared purpose. "Cameron, you've shown what it means to fight for what you believe in," Roman said, his tone sincere. "Now, it's time to take that fight to another level." Grimes nodded, his enthusiasm infectious. "I've watched you dominate, Roman. I've watched the bloodline rise to heights no one could have imagined. I'm ready to add my fire to this family and show the world what we're made of." As the crowd cheered, the vision for the new bloodline began to take shape. Roman and Cameron would represent a blend of experience and fresh energy, an alliance that could shift the power dynamics in WWE. The potential was limitless, and the possibilities for their alliance were tantalizing. In the weeks that followed, the duo began to make their mark. They squared off against established tag teams and rival factions, demonstrating their chemistry and resilience. With Roman's leadership and Grimes' electrifying style, they quickly became a formidable force. Their matches were a showcase of athleticism, strategy, and sheer will, captivating fans and earning respect from their peers. However, with new alliances come new challenges. The addition of Grimes brought a fresh dynamic to the bloodline, but it also drew the attention of their rivals. Tension simmered, particularly with former members of the bloodline, who felt they were being overshadowed. Jey Uso, feeling the pressure of living up to the bloodline's legacy, found himself questioning his place in the faction. One fateful night on SmackDown, the cracks began to show. After a hard-fought match, the bloodline stood tall in the ring, but the tension was palpable. Jey stepped forward, his frustration boiling over. "You think just because you're the new guy, you can step in and act like you belong? This is our family." Grimes, never one to back down, responded with confidence. "I'm not here to replace anyone, Jey. I'm here to elevate this family. You should be proud of what we're building together." The confrontation escalated, and Roman had to intervene. "Enough. This isn't how we handle things. We're a family, and we fight together, not against each other." With that powerful reminder, the tension eased slightly, but the underlying conflict remained. The challenge now was to navigate these dynamics and ensure the bloodline remained united as they faced rival factions and personal conflicts. As the weeks turned into months, the alliance between Roman Reigns and Cameron Grimes solidified. They faced challenges from all directions, including threats from the likes of Seth Rollins and the Judgment Day, who sought to capitalize on the bloodline's internal strife. But through it all, they forged ahead, determined to prove their worth. In the end, the acknowledgement of Cameron Grimes was more than just a storyline twist, it was a testament to the evolution of the bloodline. Roman Reigns continued to reign supreme, but now with a formidable ally at his side. Together, they would not only honor the legacy of the bloodline but also redefine it, ensuring that it would continue to be a force to be reckoned with in the WWE for years to come. As the lights dimmed and the cheers echoed through the arena, it was clear the bloodline was alive, thriving, and ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. And for Roman Reigns, the journey was just beginning, with a new champion at his side to conquer the future. Popular star should have confronted Jacob Fatu on Raw. Ex-WWE employee discusses missed opportunity, exclusive. Former WWE head writer Vince Russo recently spoke about the bloodline appearing this week on Raw. During the opening segment, the faction tried to ambush the Usos but were repelled by Jimmy and Jey Uso. The Usos were trying to resolve their issues when the bloodline launched a sneak attack. Jimmy and Jey fought back and managed to send Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and even Jacob Fatu packing. This week on Sportskeeda Wrestling's Legion of Raw, Russo recalled that fans loved watching Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu confronting each other last week, but WWE didn't follow up on that. The veteran writer claimed that he would have had Breakker run in this week to have another confrontation with the Samoan werewolf just because fans wouldn't have expected that. This is where they missed the boat. Russo detailed, "What did we see last week that everybody popped for? We saw Bron Breakker and the Wolfman, Jacob Fatu, come face to face. How about in this? The babies are up, the babies are taking care of the Bobbsey twins. Then Fatu gets involved, now they let him take over. What about running Bron Breakker in there to go after Fatu? That's a monkey wrench. That is interesting. That wasn't supposed to happen." 5/22 onwards, this week on WWE Raw, Bron Breakker announced that last week, he did what he had already announced to defeat Jey Uso. He pointed out that he would have regained the Intercontinental Championship even if the bloodline hadn't shown up. It will be interesting to see if these ongoing tensions lead to another confrontation between Jacob Fatu and the WWE Intercontinental Champion Bron Breakker. As the crowd in the arena buzzed with excitement, WWE Raw kicked off with its usual flair. Fans were eager to see their favorite superstars, but beneath the surface, there was a sense of anticipation that hinted at something unexpected brewing. In the heart of the locker room, whispers of a potential confrontation between a popular star and Jacob Fatu had been circulating for weeks. However, as the show progressed, fans were left wondering, why didn't it happen? Jacob Fatu, a powerhouse known for his incredible agility and strength, had been making waves in the wrestling world, quickly rising through the ranks since his debut. The son of the legendary Rikishi and part of the famous Anoa'i family, Jacob had caught the attention of many, including a top WWE superstar who had recently returned to the ring after a lengthy absence. This superstar had a reputation for not backing down from a challenge, and the tension between them had reached a boiling point, making the prospect of a confrontation tantalizing for fans and insiders alike. In the weeks leading up to Raw, there were subtle hints and backstage encounters that teased the potential for a showdown. A source close to the situation revealed that the popular star had been vocal about wanting to confront Fatu after he made a statement about wanting to dominate the entire wrestling landscape. There was a lot of chatter about it, the source said. The popular star saw Jacob as a legitimate threat and wanted to remind everyone who the top dog was. Fans could feel the energy shift whenever Fatu's name was mentioned on air. Social media exploded with speculation about the confrontation, with fans creating polls and memes about how epic the encounter would be. But as Raw unfolded, the anticipated moment never came. Instead, the episode saw the popular star involved in a different storyline, leaving fans puzzled and disappointed. To gain insight into the missed opportunity, I spoke with a former WWE employee who preferred to remain anonymous. This individual, who had a front-row seat to the intricacies of backstage negotiations and storylines, shared their thoughts on what could have been. The wrestling business is all about timing, they explained. Sometimes, you have these great ideas, and for various reasons, they just don't come to fruition. In this case, I think the creative team saw a different direction for the popular star, one that didn't involve Jacob Fatu. It's a shame because that confrontation could have drawn massive ratings and provided fans with a moment they would never forget. The former employee elaborated on how Fatu's unique style and lineage could have perfectly aligned with the popular star's charisma, creating a compelling narrative. The chemistry between them would have been electric. Fatu brings that hard-hitting, no-nonsense style, while the other star is all about the flash and entertainment. It would have been a classic clash of styles, they added. Imagining the confrontation is easy for fans and analysts alike. Picture the scene, the lights dimming as the familiar theme music of the popular star echoes throughout the arena. The crowd erupts in a frenzy, chanting their name as they strut down the ramp, exuding confidence. Suddenly, the arena shifts into chaos as Jacob Fatu's music hits, and he makes a powerful entrance, ready to engage in a battle of wills. In this moment, the crowd would have been on the edge of their seats, waiting to see how the two would interact. The potential for promos filled with intense personal history and in-ring battles that would push both superstars to their limits is a dream scenario for fans. Imagine the storylines that could have developed from this confrontation, the former employee said. It could have led to a series of matches, each one more intense than the last, culminating in a high-stakes showdown at a pay-per-view event. As the dust settles on the episode of Raw that left fans wanting more, it serves as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of professional wrestling. Storylines can shift in an instant, leaving fans and superstars alike in limbo. This missed confrontation could have provided the WWE with fresh narratives and significant buzz, yet the wrestling world continues to turn, and new stories are constantly being written. Reflecting on the situation, the former WWE employee expressed a sense of bittersweet nostalgia. We often see great ideas fall through the cracks, and this is just another example of how dynamic and fluid wrestling can be. You never know what's going to happen next, and sometimes that can be both exciting and disappointing. Despite the disappointment surrounding the missed confrontation, both Jacob Fatu and the popular star have promising futures ahead. Fatu has established himself as a force to be reckoned with, earning the respect of fans and colleagues alike. His unique blend of agility and power makes him a standout performer in the ring. Meanwhile, the popular star continues to draw crowds with their charisma and in-ring ability, ensuring that their journey is far from over. In the ever-evolving landscape of WWE, there's always room for new rivalries and storylines to emerge. The possibility of a future clash between Fatu and the popular star remains tantalizing as the wrestling world thrives on unpredictability. Perhaps, with a little luck and timing, fans will eventually see the confrontation they've been craving. Final thoughts: the missed opportunity for a confrontation between Jacob Fatu and a popular WWE superstar on Raw serves as a reminder of the dynamic nature of professional wrestling. While fans were left wanting more, the hope for an electrifying showdown still lingers. As the wrestling world continues to evolve, there's no telling what exciting narratives and rivalries await fans in the future. For now, the spotlight shifts to the next chapter, where new stories will unfold, and perhaps one day, the long-awaited confrontation will finally come to pass.